Good morning, everybody. So I'm out here at the Kayak, and it's about 10 o'clock. So I ended up sleeping in until about 9 o'clock this morning. I was really tired from yesterday, and then had a lovely breakfast. And now I'm just kind of doing some of the chores of getting everything plugged into a charger. I'm washing my clothes and just generally trying to clean up a little bit. So I'm really appreciative of being able to stay here. It's absolutely amazing, so thank you. So yeah, I think I'm going to stay here a day. They offered they were more than happy to let me stay here a day. So there's a very high chance of some nasty weather happening today. So since I'm taking a day off of the river, it probably won't rain, but you know, if I did go down there, I'd probably get hit by a tornado. So they're calling for some really nasty weather today, like chance of hail, isolated tornado, that sort of thing. So I decided, since I'm here and in an absolutely amazing house, I'd be a fool to go down there to the river and possibly have to sit out a storm in a tent. So that's kind of the plan. I'm going to get some chores done and just generally relax, and then hit it hard onto Lake Sharpe tomorrow. So Lake Sharpe is only 80 miles long. I've gotten all three of the big lakes done, and from here it should be a lot easier. So I'm very much looking forward to that. So I've got three more smaller lakes to do. So once I get to Yankton, which is the last dam, it's all free flowing all the way to St. Louis, and I can't wait for that. So just an update on the broken pedal. So obviously this is just free floating here, and doesn't work anymore. But I kind of misspoke yesterday. I said that this was like $350. It's more closer to $500 for this spine, which is a lot of money. So kind of my plan at the moment is to have my parents come up in the next week and a half. They're going to bring up my extra set of pedals, and I'm just going to use those as the backup and continue to use the other set as my main set. And I'm just going to take these home and possibly get them fixed later. Now if I have more problems, I can always order the part and get everything working again. But that's a lot of money, and I don't particularly have a whole bunch after this trip. It's been a very expensive trip. So just to save money, I'm going to take these out of rotation and just use my other two set. So it's definitely going to cause some potential issues just because I don't have the kick-up fins. So I'm going to have to be a little more careful, and there's going to be a little more hand paddling through the deltas. But that's okay, just going to make me go a little slower. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the pedals at the moment. I've been taking on a tour of Pierre, and we're currently across the river we're currently across the river, and there's a great view here. So this is the Varendrite site. So in 1743, a lead plate was buried here, and by a French explorer, and in 1913 it was found by a group of local teenagers here, and it kind of showed that the French were here far before the Louisiana Purchase and Lewis and Clark were. So it's a very interesting piece of history, and they found it here on this very windy hilltop. So it's about 8:30 now. I have not really filmed much today, but it was a very lovely, relaxing day. So just kind of relaxed this morning, kind of did a couple chores, and then we ended up touring Pierre a little bit. I got just like a clip there up at the hillside there, and yeah, after that we had they ordered some pizza. We had some people come over and had a lovely evening. So I've already got the video edited today, and so I plan to head out on the water in the morning. So that's kind of the plan. So I think I might combine these two videos into one day. So if I do that, I had a lovely day today, and yeah, here's the next day. Good morning, everybody, again. So it's about 8 o'clock, and I've been packing everything up. I've had a amazing breakfast, and I'm about ready to head down to the water and get back onto Lake Sharpe. So Lake Sharpe starts right below the Oahe Dam and goes for 80 miles to Big Bend Dam. So it's a much smaller reservoir, so I'm looking forward to that, and I should have current for a good part of today. So that is going to be absolutely amazing. So yeah, I just really want to thank the people I'm staying with. Again, it's been absolutely amazing, and I really appreciate it. It's hard to say how grateful I am for this. It was amazing. So I'm gonna get everything packed up, and we're gonna head down to the boat ramp and get launched. Okay, I'm down by the water, and I've got the boat here at the dock, and I'm going to get it all loaded up and head it out onto the water. It is an absolutely beautiful day today. I've got the boat fully loaded, and I'm about to head off. So I just want to thank the people I've been staying with so much that it's been absolutely amazing. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for stopping by.
Okay, I'm back on the water. I'm in this little bay, but the lake is out there on through that gap. So I'm not entirely sure what to call it, because it is technically Lake Sharpe, but it's also flowing pretty good from the dam. So I'm excited to get out here on this absolutely gorgeous day and actually have some current. So I'm leaving this little bay. There's rock walls on either side of me, and the water in front of me is actually flowing. I can't believe it. I haven't seen that in like 2 weeks. So I am so excited to get some current. So up in the distance here is the powerhouse. So that's where the water is coming out of Oahe through the turbines, which is pretty interesting. I can hear the hum from here. And I'm heading downstream. So there isn't a delta to worry about with Lake Sharpe, because it literally begins right as it dumps out of Oahe, which is super clear and cold water, and there's no sediment to speak of. So I'm fairly certain that there is no delta, and it's just the current will slowly slow down as I get farther down the lake, and it should be just smooth sailing, hopefully. So I'm coming up on the town of Pierre, or I believe as the locals call it, just Pierre. So on the western shore is Fort Pierre, and Pierre is on the eastern side. And Pierre is the state capital. It is the most small town capital I've ever seen. It does not feel like a big city. It feels like just a regular small town. They have a main street and everything, and it is a lovely little town, and it is not very big, which is crazy. So I think it's the second smallest population-wise state capital in the country. So that is just really interesting, and it has a lovely... It's nice not to be in the big city. So another interesting fact is that I'm in the middle of the river right now, and I am right on the time zone change. So the western side of the river is in mountain time, and the eastern side is in central. So it's really interesting to have two towns basically right across the river from each other in two different time zones. So while pedaling with the current, I'm going 4.5 to 5 miles an hour. It is absolutely amazing, and I'm trying to enjoy every second of it. So coming up ahead is a old railroad bridge, and it is actually a swing bridge. So there's one section here that would swing out of the way for steamboats to go past, which is super interesting, and I'm excited to look at it closer. So I'm getting closer to the railroad bridge. There's actually a train stopped on the bridge, which is pretty interesting. I saw that as we drove across the highway bridge, which is on the other side, which is brand new apparently, to get there. I actually see a small barge moving across the lake there, moving construction equipment around as they're finishing up the bridge, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, this bridge here is a swing truss span bridge. So the pointy part here in the middle is the part that was designed to swing out of the way for steamboats to go past. So this bridge was built in 1907, And I believe this is correct. I think I read it in Fort Benton, but it was built at the end of the steamboat era. They weren't really commonly used at that point, but it was still in law that they had to build the bridges to where the steamboats could go by. And I believe the case was that in case there was like a military emergency, they could ship troops up the river using steamboats. So they required all of the bridges to be able to move out of the way for the steamboats. And according to Wikipedia, which is where I got my information about this bridge, it was only ever moved once. So the bridge was swung out of the way once when it was built, and that's the only time it's ever moved in its entire life since 1907. So very interesting old bridge. So here's the bridge. As they get closer, there's a big pier here sticking out in front of the turntable here to, I'm guessing, protect it from logs and stuff flowing downstream, which is pretty interesting. And the bridge just keeps going all the way across. It is crazy that this bridge is almost 120 years old. Right here is the turntable, and it's only been moved once. Can you imagine this massive bridge section swinging out, and I guess resting on this piece when it moves forward? I don't know. Crazy. But look at that middle pillar. It's got a huge ring gear on it. I can't imagine seeing this thing turn. Absolutely amazing. And the fact that there's a train sitting just on it fully stopped is really cool. So there's actually a tow in front of me moving a small construction barge across. They're cleaning up the old bridge, and the new one that's just been completed is what I was told. But still, so that's really cool. And just look at all the rivets and the nuts holding this together. It is amazing. The rollers there that this thing used to turn on, or once turned on. Very cool. Look at those gears. And then going forward, there's the tow right there. It looks like it's moving a barge full of rock. So I'm going to go over a couple of openings to get away from that. But the water's moving pretty good through here, and I am really enjoying that. So I was told that there's some metal from the old bridge pier still sticking up out of the water on the far bank, so I kind of stayed on this side of the river to avoid that. And that motor is screaming, getting that barge turned around. Pretty cool. It's always interesting to see the construction out on the water, and yeah, they have some massive excavators to dig up material or place material on the bottom. So very cool. And then behind me is the railroad bridge. But we are heading with the current, which is just still very exciting to say. Continuing down, and it's going to turn to the left here. So there to the left is actually a pizza ranch with a little marina next to it. But it's only 10 o'clock in the morning, so I'm just going to keep going. But pretty cool that is within reach of the water. So I got a whole bag of homemade cookies that I'm very much enjoying, and I just want to say thank you. They're amazing. So enjoying some cookies with some hot coffee as I paddle down the river on this absolutely beautiful day. It is supposed to get breezy this afternoon, but it's supposed to be a tailwind, so I'm pretty excited. So there across the river is where the Bad River dumps in. And apparently I was told last night that this right there at the mouth of the Bad River is where Lewis and Clark faced off against a tribe of, I think, Sioux Indians and they almost came to a firefight. Like, they had their guns cocked and everything, and the expedition almost ended right there. So that is crazy, and just a super interesting part of history. So I'm continuing down the river here. There are some absolutely beautiful hills and some massive cottonwoods here. Maybe not massive, but some of the biggest ones I've seen on the trip so far. So that's pretty cool. And I'm thoroughly enjoying today. It is just an absolutely beautiful day. It's about 70 degrees and couldn't ask for better weather. So it's about 11:30. The current has slowed down a little bit, and I'm, without pedaling, going about 2 miles an hour, and so it's still there, but not quite as noticeable, but I'm still enjoying it. And I've got a bit of a tailwind that's popping up, blowing straight from behind, so that is just amazing. Like, that does not happen very often on this trip. So yeah, I'm just enjoying this day, going along these hillsides here. There's very few trees and mostly just grass covered hills. And the other side is more like river bottom for a little bit, and it's got a bunch of cottonwoods. So that's pretty interesting. And we're just continuing down the lake here. So it's actually a pretty clear day, and I can see for about 12 miles. So the river actually turns to the right a little bit and then makes a hard left-hand turn. But that is, 20 miles away. So I can just see that first right-hand turn. But still, it's pretty exciting to be able to see like 12 miles. So it's about noon. I've got a nice tailwind pushing me, and I'm really enjoying that. So I have a Green Belly meal to go bar. This one's cranberry almond, and a Lenny's and Larry's complete chocolate chip cookie. So I'm gonna snack on those. I also have a bag of real chocolate chip cookies, along with some Twizzler Super Nibs and a Dr. Pepper. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm gonna just snack on these as I continue down the lake here. So the current is definitely slowing down, but I've got a tailwind that's helping push, and it's an absolutely beautiful day out here. I keep saying that, but man, amazing weather. I don't know what it is about the days of getting back on the water after like a rest day, but they are never very fun. It is 12:30 and it feels like it should be like 4 in the afternoon. So I don't know, it's just a very slow morning, but that's okay. Oh gosh. So I've been saying that's okay a lot in these videos. I've been getting a lot of comments about it, and yeah, I mean, it's kind of how I feel. Like, I'm out here living my dream, and it's absolutely amazing. And that's it is in fact okay. If something goes wrong, that's just part of the journey. But yeah, I've been trying to say it a little bit less recently. But I noticed on my last day of Hawaii, I was the more tired I got, the more that's okays seemed to slip out without me realizing it. So that's kind of interesting. but yeah, we're just continuing down the shoreline here. It's really slowing down. The wind has actually died, and I got the sunshade up because it got a little hot. And there's actually been quite a few like sandbars out in the middle here, but I've been just following this bank and haven't had any issue. And I'm about halfway to the next turn, it looks like. So I'm making pretty good time. So there's a whole bunch of stumps sticking up out of the water about a foot along this shoreline here, which is pretty interesting. But luckily I haven't seen any in the water yet, and I'm just keeping my distance. And I've still got my tailwind, but the lake is staying really calm. So I'm really enjoying this, and I'm getting closer to that turn I talked about earlier. So hopefully we can get around that today. So I've got like the perfect tailwind that I've got my sunshade standing straight up, acting like a sail. So that's pretty nice. I'm currently doing with some light pedaling 4 miles an hour with this sail. So that's pretty exciting stuff. So this only really works with light wind, otherwise it tries to break the sunshade because it's not really designed for this, but it does work with a light tailwind, which is what I have right now, and I'm really enjoying it. So there's still been a bunch of stumps sticking up out of the water along the shoreline, but so far I've been keeping a close eye out on the water around me, and I haven't seen any out very far. They're all along the shore. So far so good. Just gonna keep a sharp eye out, and I don't want to be hitting any of those, especially with the non-kick up pedals. So yeah, there's a bunch of islands here in this section. I don't know if this is kind of the delta or what's going on with all these little islands out here, but they're not too hard to avoid. So just going right around them. It's plenty deep around the islands. And just going up this shoreline here. Okay, so it's about 2 o'clock and my chair here just broke. So there's a string right here that holds the back up, and it just snapped and sent me flying backwards. So that's kind of fun. So I did replace that before I left, so I do know how, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. But I do know how to do it, so it's not the end of the world. So I'm just gonna try to ignore it this afternoon, but we'll see. It's kind of annoying not having a backrest, so we'll see. It might be something I'm gonna have to deal with. So yeah, that's kind of what's happening right now. So as I said, I replaced that before the trip, and I do have a replacement with me. So yeah, I'm gonna try to get that done at some point. We'll see if I need to pull over immediately and fix it or not. Okay, so I managed to get the seat kind of fixed. I don't know how well I can actually show you it while sitting in it, but it is sitting extremely upright. So it's not terribly comfortable, but it is gonna work for today, and I'll hopefully get it fixed. I'll replace the part hopefully tonight, but it is a pain in the butt. So we'll see how that goes. Well, I spoke too soon. I said I was pretty excited that the stumps are staying out, staying along the shore, but now I've kind of got them spread out, and there's also these clumps of weeds floating around that kind of look like stumps from a distance. So I just got to keep my eye out and make sure I don't run into any. So it's not really flowing very fast, so there's not really too much danger. I'm not flowing super fast past these stumps and hitting them hard or anything, but still got to keep an eye out for them. Don't want to cause any issues because there's a whole bunch of stumps all the way from here to the shore. So I'm very glad it's a calm day today. And I've been calling these stumps, but I don't actually know how tall they are. They might be 10 feet tall sticking up out of the bottom, but they're just barely sticking out of the water right now. So that's why I've been calling them stumps, because they're kind of short, at least coming out of the water wise. So I'm passing by another forest here. So it'd be real problematic if the water was another 2 feet taller and all these were underwater. But luckily they're all sticking up and very easy to avoid. So the waves are getting a little bit bigger as the wind is slowly picking up as a tailwind, but not really a problem. So it's working out pretty good. I'm nearly to this corner. I've gone about, I don't know, about 20 miles so far today with this good with this tailwind and a little bit of current that I had this morning. So it's been a good day so far, and it's only 3 o'clock. So I'm hopefully gonna get a good chunk of this done today. Got a gyrocopter flying overhead, coming almost to a complete stop overhead. Pretty interesting. Other than that, I've got my sunshade as a sail again. The wind is just about perfect for it, and I'm moving pretty quickly. I'm enjoying it. I'm going, I don't know, 3.5 to 4 miles an hour, barely pedaling with this up, so pretty cool. So I'm passing by another big old ball of weeds, and they really do look like stumps from a distance. So just a little annoying. You got to keep an eye on them. You never know if the big dark spot is actually a stump or actually just a floating ball of weeds. But the wind is pushing me along pretty good, and I'm really enjoying it. This is a amazing day out on the water, making really good miles. So I'm passing by another like forest of stumps here. I haven't seen any for, I don't know, about an hour, maybe a little more. So they're just in groups, it seems like. Just a whole bunch of them all together in one spot, and then there won't be any for quite a while. So pretty interesting, but luckily fairly easy to avoid. They're all sticking up out of the water. So yeah, just continuing down this shoreline, just trying to get as far as possible today with this really good weather I'm having. So this section just has a bunch of random stumps kind of scattered all over the place down this entire side. So luckily the lake is so calm that I'm just going pretty much right down the middle. So I don't have to worry about stumps at all, and it's working out really well. So I'm just cruising down this lake. I'm so glad that the lake is this calm today. It really makes this so much easier, and I don't have to worry about stumps at all out here in the middle. I'm still trying to keep an eye out just in case, but I don't know how much water I'm in, but it'd be a heck of a tree to most likely stick up out of the water out here in the middle. I've got a whole flock of seagulls sitting in the water right in front of me. So I'm guessing they're going to take off any second now. So I've noticed that the left-hand side going downstream doesn't appear to have any stumps. And I haven't been watching the whole time, but I haven't seen any. And the right hand has definitely got stumps for, I don't know, the past 4 or 5 miles probably. So just something to be aware of when traveling down this lake, that this side has a lot of trees in the water. So I've been able to avoid them by just staying in the middle of the lake. So not a big deal for me, but if the weather was bad, it would definitely be a problem. So it's about 7 o'clock, and I've just rounded the tip of this corner, which is really exciting. That means I've gone 30 miles today. So with the tailwind and the current, I've been booking it, and I'm really happy. So I'm going to just keep going, see how far I can get this evening. So I'm interested to see if the camera can pick this up, because I can barely see it on the back screen of the camera. But there's a big old tree just with all the limbs still attached, sticking up out of the water. That is pretty interesting. So the shoreline here seems to be pretty clear, but in the middle here there is just a whole bunch of stumps sticking up out of the water. So hopefully I can avoid this. Maybe it was an island at one point at a time, and this island here is underwater from the dam, and all the trees are still there. I don't know. That's my guess, and this was an old channel here, and there's no trees. But who knows? But I'm just happy that I haven't come close to any submerged trees and damaged my drive. That's kind of the main thing that I'm worried about. So I decided to cross over right before I end the night, so I'm nearly across, and I'm hoping to find a spot along these trees here, and if not, hopefully near here. And turns out I just measured it using Google Maps, and I have 48 miles to the dam. So yeah, I'm going to push across here, find a nice camp spot, and hopefully go to bed and get a good night's sleep. Well, that's a little annoying. I've been heading towards these trees for quite a while, and I just watched a cow walk out of the trees, which means I really don't want to camp there. So I'm going to turn down the shoreline here and hopefully find a spot nearby. Well, this little spot looks perfect. It's a little coulee here, and it's full of cedars, but this whole end has been fenced off to keep the cattle out of the lake. So I think I'm going to set up my tent just on this side of the fence and hopefully have a good evening here. That's pretty exciting. So the sun is setting in the west. I'm on the eastern shore now, and so the lake continues down a point to about here, and then it turns to the left. So that's tomorrow, but tonight is going to be right here on the shore. So upon closer inspection, it appears that the wire has been knocked down by probably the cattle, and the cows can get here, but I don't see any, and I'm not, particularly terrified of cattle. I just don't want any problems. So I'm gonna go ahead and set up my tent here since I'm losing light and don't have too much more daylight left, and I'm not seeing too many more good options along this shore, so gotta take what you can get. Now it turns out there's a whole herd of cattle right there, and the bull is staring right at me. So I don't really want any trouble. So I've got a little bit of light left, so I'm going to keep going for a little bit and see if I can't find a less occupied beach. Okay, so they're up there on the hill watching me leave, but I'm back on the water. It is completely calm, so it's a very enjoyable evening to have to keep going. And I've got a beautiful sunset, so I don't really count this as a problem. I just get to travel a little bit farther today. Okay, so I'm about a mile down the shore. I've got another little coulee here, and this one is currently cow free, and the cows are about a mile down the shore, so I'm going to go ahead and call this one home for the night. So I'm going to get the tent set up and go to bed. So on an exciting note, they're not calling for rain or high winds or anything for the next 4 days. So for the first time in almost a month since I've got this, I'm going to use my other tent. So this is a Nemo Hornet Osmo 3-person tent. So I've only used this once, so hopefully I can get it set up before the light completely fails, because I don't really remember how I set it up last time, but I'm sure it won't be too hard. So here's the tent set up. It's more of a traditional style tent, and it's got a fly I still got to put over it, but still, it's pretty interesting. I haven't used this thing except once, so it's been kind of hard to remember how to set it up, but I figured it out. So the sun is setting, and I did actually enjoy setting up a different tent for a change. It was a refreshing change to the normal camp setup. So I'm going to grab some supper and then hop in the tent and hopefully get some sleep. Okay, so for supper I have the Farm to Summit 3-bean chili and cornbread. So there's actually big chunks of cornbread in there with the chili, so I'm looking forward to eating that once that dehydrates. So I'm in the new tent. I'm currently airing up my sleeping pad using the air pump, and funny enough, there's actually a little bit more room in this tent than in my big one, which is interesting. But I'm really enjoying the new tent, just something a little different. So with that, I'm going to say good night. Thank you for watching. And if you're enjoying these videos, I'd ask you to please subscribe, because it's free and it really helps me out.